good company. Look forward to seeing you next time on The Chase Australia.
Tonight, COVID back in the community. Queensland's outbreak spreads. New restrictions for the Easter break and travel. One of the biggest festivals in the country cancelled. Vaccine war. The state's scathing about the slow rollout that has us 1 million doses behind schedule. The MP accused of rape and lining up prostitutes in Parliament quits, triggering a critical by-election. Roads flooded. A burst water main causes chaos in Greenacre. Tolls up and petrol price rip-offs just in time for the long weekend. 100 years of history, a major milestone for the RAAF. Dressed to impress, a first look at what Aussie athletes will wear for the hottest Olympics ever. And the show goes on. The Easter show defies the odds, bouncing back to life.
Live from Sydney, 7 News with Mark Ferguson.
Good evening. For the second year in a row, Byron Bay's legendary Blues Fest has been cancelled, devastating tens of thousands of fans. A public health order shut the music festival down to try to slow the Queensland cluster, which has now spread to a young New South Wales man from women attending a hens weekend. Sydney-siders heading north for the Easter holidays are being urged to reconsider, with new restrictions declared.
Byron Bay, a tourist town with an unwanted visitor.
New South Wales has had one case of community transmission.
A man in his 20s testing positive after visiting the beach hotel on Friday night. The same venue as the infectious hens party from Queensland. One new case bringing a raft of new restrictions. For the Byron, Ballina, Tweed and Lismore Shires, from tonight, masks will be mandatory in retail stores, public indoor settings and on public transport. Household gatherings limited to 30 people, and at venues the 4 square metre rule is back. Drinking while standing to be banned, with masks compulsory for hospitality staff. The changes forcing some venues to shut their doors.
We're looking at closing over Easter now, mainly due to the 4 square metre rule. We just won't be able to fit the patrons in for that sort of cost.
If you have the mildest of symptoms anywhere in the state...
Shop owners hearing the new rules as they were announced.
We're just going to have to push through and go along with the COVID restrictions and keep everyone safe.
Guess we've got to do what we've got to do.
For locals, that means staying put if possible.
But it is our very strong preference that if you live in any of those 4 local government areas, that you don't travel outside those local government areas.
And those hoping to visit.
We ask everybody who was attending those local government areas to reconsider their plans.
The advice leaving tourists who arrived early for the Easter break confused.
Not sure whether we're doing the right thing, whether we should be going home.
We literally just got here this morning and I think we're just going to go back to Sydney.
While Byron is on edge, so too is nearby Ballina. The man unknowingly visited 2 venues while infectious on Sunday. Henry Rouse Tavern and the Ballina Golf and Sports Club. Other patrons must get tested and isolate. He became infected after sitting close to the hens party from Queensland, attended by a nurse who contracted the virus from a COVID patient at Brisbane's Princess Alexandra Hospital. A second nurse from that hospital has now tested positive, with her housemate also infected. With those 2 new locally transmitted cases in Queensland, a decision on whether to extend Brisbane's 3-day lockdown is expected early tomorrow.
Fingers crossed, all will be looking good for Easter.
Not such good news for Byron's 5-day Blues Fest, an event which normally attracts up to 16,000 people each day. Late this afternoon, the festival was cancelled. The government had made it clear, with a locally transmitted case here in Byron, the risk of holding such a large festival was just too great.
We were going to work behind the bar here, but devastating news. Bit upsetting. Would have been good money in my bank account.
Campers who'd made the journey to Byron forced to turn around.
Yeah, all right. But then they about to set up and they said that it's been called off, we have to go.
There are concerns too over Sydney's largest Easter event, but the show will go on for now.
We just got to work with Western Sydney Health on a daily basis and continue to take advice.
Advice which may change if COVID numbers rise.
And let's go to Miley Hogan now in Byron Bay. Miley, how concerned are authorities about further COVID cases there?
Mark, good evening. The government is worried there may be further infectious people in the community, so by putting these restrictions in place, it's hoped they can prevent a further spread. The new rules kicked in just over an hour ago here in Byron. People are out enjoying the town, but it appears they are following those new rules. Chatting to some of the locals here, they are concerned the measures don't go far enough. Some say they would like to see the town locked down. They're worried that tourism dollars are being put ahead of their own health. Mark.
Molly Hogan in Byron, thank you. The vaccine rollout has exploded into a vicious war of words after the federal government accused the states of going slow and leaving precious vials sitting on shelves. Here, our Premier and Health Minister have broken Liberal Party lines, striking back at their colleagues in Canberra.
Let's get this really, really clear.
The vaccine rollout that's seeing federal and state governments take shots at each other.
I really find this very offensive. One day we're the gold standard, the next day we're being told we're not. Not happy at all today, and I think that federal government should be proffering some apologies.
The issue, the federal government leaking front page data showing New South Wales had only used half its vaccines so far.
But I will not have untrue statements made publicly.
The Premier furious.
The he said, she said, that has to stop. I'm normally a team player and don't engage in that. However, I'll stick up for my state.
The Commonwealth claims New South Wales has received 190,000 vaccine shots but administered just 96,000, 50%. Victoria, 44%. Lowest, South Australia, 35%. Highest, WA, 62%. Queensland, 55%.
An orchestrated attack by Morrison government ministers against the states and territories, and it really is quite outrageous.
The states blame haphazard, unannounced federal vaccine distribution, like here last week, meant to receive 13,000 doses, but getting 45,000.
And now, less than a few days later, there's a press report saying we haven't distributed them all.
We need to know what the supply is. We often find out 2 days before we get it or the day before we get it.
The Premier calling the claims an insult to every frontline worker, doctor and nurse in the vaccine rollout.
We had floods and we kept vaccinating people.
And she's repeated offers to use state hospitals to take pressure off GPs.
I'm going to write formally to the Prime Minister today.
7 News understands the Prime Minister is irate. Their information was leaked.
I certainly am not making any criticism of that. It's a big job, we're all doing it.
By mid-afternoon, the Health Minister was making amends.
The states and territories are doing a first-class job.
Go to war with the virus, not with each other.
The data is believed to have been leaked to distract from this. The government's promise to deliver 4 million vaccines by the end of March. Today, the actual figure, 670,000.
They're 3.4 million short.
The federal government has its own problems with growing complaints that distribution systems are failing. One Sydney GP reporting he was forced to throw out 100 doses when the courier failed to keep them cold enough. A similar story in Toowoomba with complaints of zero support from the National Vaccine Centre.
We ring them constantly, all day, every day. No one ever rings back.
Calls from experts to bring in the military.
The Australian Defence Force out there doing it. We could get it done very, very rapidly.
It is difficult to overstate just how dire relations are now between the state and federal government. 7 News understands those comments from Brad Hazzard at the news conference today were mild by comparison with what was said behind the scenes about his federal counterpart, Greg Hunt. Mark?
Not just Brad Hazzard, many people will be saying today the federal government got this very wrong.
Yeah, look, I mean, the belief is that they thought if they highlighted the slow vaccine rollout in Queensland, Mark, it could be linked to the unvaccinated nurse at the centre of the current outbreak, and that would increase the heat on the Labor Premier, Anastasia Palaszczuk. Either way, it's not what we want at such a critical time in this vaccine rollout.
We need a united front. Chris, thank you. After a rape allegation and a question time sex scandal, State MP Michael Johnson has quit Parliament but says he will fight the sex assault claim and expects to have his name cleared. The resignation has now triggered a 4-way by-election.
The day after a texting scandal, an email resignation. Michael Johnson, in one sentence, quitting Parliament effective immediately.
I'm very relieved. That is a good outcome, and of course we look forward to moving forward. Thank you, everybody.
It was a week ago Labor MP Trish Doyle accused an unnamed MP of raping a prostitute. Johnson then named himself, saying he strenuously denied the allegation. Then yesterday, reports he'd texted the same woman during question time, offered $1,000 for sex at Parliament House and sent a video of a lewd act. Today, Johnson called the rape accusation devastating, unfair and unfounded. I am an imperfect human and I own that. I will fight the allegation and expect to have my name cleared. With a crucial by-election now looming, the government says it shouldn't be punished for Johnson.
No one in the National Party knew what this guy's behaviour was about. I mean, everyone was shocked. Absolutely appalling.
Upper Hunter National held for 90 years, with Johnson's margin just 2.6%. Last election getting 34% of the vote, Labor 29%, the Shooters Party 22%.
It's a target seat for us. We're going to give it our all. If you want to put Upper Hunter or any community on the map, vote against the government.
One Nation also running, focused on coal jobs.
The National Party does not deserve to keep this seat. It's betrayed the people of Upper Hunter on so many fronts.
With Labor a four-way fray.
I'm a Hunter girl and we're going to give this a red-hot go.
Paul Kadak, 7 News.
To breaking news now, and a burst water main has caused destruction in Greenacre with roads closed and water swamping properties. Robert Ovadia is there for us. Rob, just how bad is the damage?
Well, Mark, the flood is bad, the damage not particularly. You'd think we'd become accustomed to flood after the past couple of weeks. Just behind me is the aptly named Waterloo Road. That's the source of this burst main. I'm advised that it is a 375mm wide pipe and that is about as big as it gets in residential areas, currently draining Bankstown Reservoir of 12.5% of its water every hour. And right now it's rushing as a torrent down Tennyson Road. There are some 20 homes that are affected by this, not significantly, it has to be said. The water is really affecting some garages, one in particular, but the others have been able to manage quite fine. There is a bit of luck to do with this, and that is about halfway down this steep slope of Tennyson Road, there is a canal, and that is absorbing a lot of this water.
So far, we've had to take this fence out over here so that there's a canal next door so that we can get the flooding over to the canal. Flooding in Greenacre. Did not think it would be happening, especially with no rain.
So, with some quick maths, it seems that the Bankstown Reservoir has been drained of a quarter of its supply so far in the 2 hours that this is happening. And for the moment, Sydney Water is trying to isolate, but they have not been able to achieve it just yet, as you can see behind me.
A major patch-up job, Rob. Thank you. Anthony Albanese was at the wheel today, spruiking Labor's revived electric car policy that crashed at the last election. The government has backed the same technology, but has questioned how Labor plans to pay for it.
Reflecting on the wonders of space, a fascination for kids young and old, finally finding reason to smile.
What's your name? Jenny. That's a good name. I like the name Jenny.
His announcement fast-tracking his already announced $1 billion plan to build guided missiles in Australia.
This is all about ensuring that we have the capability to do what we need to do to protect and defend Australia's interests in our part of the world.
The future is here right now.
A future Anthony Albanese says he's plugging into by promising to make electric cars cheaper, exempting them from import tariffs, saving $2,000 on private vehicles and dropping fringe benefits tax, slashing $9,000 a year on company cars.
In a decade's time, you'll struggle to walk into a car yard like this and find something that's not an EV.
Having attacked Labor's electric vehicle policy at the last election as a plan to force tradies out of their utes, the government now has its own plan supporting them.
That's good technology.
But suggests Labor's policy rollout, paid parental leave, manufacturing, now electric cars, is getting expensive.
They spent $30 billion in 2 days. Imagine what they'd be like if they had 3 years.
Closing Labor's national conference, Anthony Albanese is confident he'll get that chance.
Together we will give Australia the government it needs and deserves, an Australian Labor Party government.
Mark Riley, 7 News.
It's believed an overloaded power board caused a Campsie house fire that killed an 80-year-old woman and left her grandsons in hospital. Firefighters say all three might have escaped unharmed if not for a lack of smoke alarms and bars on the windows.
Flames devour a Campsie home, trapping 3 people inside. Chaos erupted in the street as quickly as the fire. Off-duty police officer Andrew McKay was driving past and ran to the rescue.
I entered the rear of the house, but the smoke was clearly too heavy.
Emergency crews in a race against time to reach 80-year-old Zong Li and her 2 teenage grandsons.
Very scary. The firefighters couldn't get in.
A firefighter saw an arm near a window and used power tools to peel back the security bars, rescuing a 14-year-old boy.
They got the other kid there.
He and his 16-year-old cousin were taken to hospital, fighting for life. Their grandmother didn't survive.
How desperate the men trying to put up the fire is just heartbreaking.
Firefighters say this tragedy could have been prevented if the home had working smoke detectors, reminding people to check their alarms are in working order, especially as we enter the cooler months.
Smoke alarms provide the best way of receiving early warning.
The blaze, the result of an electrical fault likely sparked by an overloaded power board. Natasha Squarey, 7 News.
A woman has been arrested for assaulting a police officer and 9 other people in random attacks around Bondi over the past 2 weeks. 34-year-old Georgia Warren was spotted by an off-duty police officer at Eastgate Shopping Centre yesterday. She followed her outside but was then allegedly set upon, kicked, choked and bitten.
It was quite terrible what happened, and thankfully 2 members of the community came and assisted. They were assaulted as well, which is concerning.
Warren faced court today and has been sent to hospital for assessment. Drivers are being warned double demerits are back from tomorrow and will remain in force right across Easter. And after the impact of COVID on last year's road toll, this year there's a new concern.
In Wentworthville overnight on the Cumberland Highway, a 2-car smash causing one to somersault. Both drivers shaken but somehow walking away. Police investigating whether one ran a red light. A renewed crackdown on dangerous driving from tomorrow.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
We will be out in force, and you could expect to see us anywhere at any time.
Double demerits apply with phone users in sharp focus.
Please put your phone away. 10 points, 10 demerit points.
So last year we had 3 fatalities over Easter and 80 people injured on our roads, and we'd like to see that 0 over the Easter holiday period.
The road toll was low last year because of the lockdown. This year there's freedom but a new threat, the recent floods.
Some of those country roads are in a very, very bad state of disrepair.
But the motorways are high and dry and raking it in. From tomorrow, tolls are going up, affecting all roads except WestConnex M4 and M8. It'll be 9 cents more for the newly opened NorthConnex. The Eastern Distributor and Hills M2 are up 8 cents. And while petrol prices are falling, drivers are still paying too much.
Make sure you're buying the right fuel.
Traditionally, the price of petrol skyrockets around Easter, but we have been seeing prices go down by around 1 cent per day. There are still some significant gaps, though, like between regular and premium, around 23 cents per litre, and across suburbs, there's a 40-cent difference. If you're after a bargain, head to Liverpool or Lanier. Mark?
OK, Serena, thank you. The woman who recorded the harrowing final moments of George Floyd's life has taken the stand. During an emotional second day of the police officer's trial, one witness broke down, recalling the traumatic scene and how she begged them to check his pulse.
His killing witnessed by the world. Now witnesses on the street that day are giving evidence against the police officer who pinned George Floyd through his final minutes alive and beyond.
I believe I witnessed a murder.
Trained in martial arts, Donald Williams told the court he recognised Officer Derek Chauvin's hold on Floyd as a kill or blood choke.
You called him a tough guy.
I did.
In fact, he berated Chauvin during those lethal minutes.
Those terms grew more and more angry. Would you agree with that?
They grew more and more pleading for life.
Testimony too from the paramedics stopped when she tried to help Floyd.
When you couldn't do that, how did that make you feel?
Totally distressed.
Were you frustrated?
Yes.
The 17-year-old who recorded the phone video that fired global protests, teary, as she told jurors George Floyd could have been her dad or her brother.
I stayed up apologizing and apologizing to George Floyd for not doing more.
This just 2 days into evidence here, and the trial is expected to run for weeks. A verdict is not expected before late April. In Minneapolis, Tim Lester, 7 News.
There was a spectacular show in the skies above Canberra today, marking 100 incredible years of the Royal Australian Air Force. Decades of military history took to the sky with a special message from the Queen.
In perfect formation, the prowess of the Royal Australian Air Force showcased over the nation's capital, including older aircraft from World War II to mark a century of service. The Air Force presented with a new Queen's colour by the Governor-General.
The celebration of 100 years dedication to the defence of Australia and its values and of service to its people.
The flag a symbol of the Queen's trust in the service, honouring 350,000 Australians who've served and more than 11,000 who sacrificed their lives.
It is the people, not the equipment, that have built the Royal Australian Air Force.
After the Australian Flying Corps, the RAAF launched in 1921 with planes used in World War I to lead Australia's air missions in every major conflict since and in times of crisis. It's an impressive display from our Air Force that has protected this nation for the past 100 years, and the next century promises new technology and new challenges to safeguard future generations.
This is the pledge that we make to the Australian people. Then, now, always.
Olivia Leeming, 7 News.
The Australian Olympic Committee hopes to have all our athletes vaccinated by July ahead of the Tokyo Games, but can't guarantee it. Either way, our teams whose uniforms were unveiled today say nothing will stop them competing against the world's best.
Behind the scenes at this morning's uniform launch, reality struck. An Olympics of symbolic human triumph is happening.
There hasn't been something where all the countries of the world have been able to unite and bring what the Olympics actually means forward, and I'm just so excited to be a part of it.
The Aussies will compete in gear designed for Tokyo's stifling summer, predicted to be the hottest ever games.
To represent my culture, who I am, myself and my family on the biggest stage of all, it's mind-blowing.
Still, COVID cases rise in Japan, and the AOC stands firm on a policy not to jump the queue for vaccines.
Everybody who's involved in this rollout still remains confident that we will be vaccinated in time for Tokyo.
I'm 100% so excited to go, vaccine or not. I'm happy to get on that plane and compete.
And from the dozens of athletes we've been speaking to for many weeks now, that attitude is unanimous. They want to go and be part of the most anticipated Olympic Games there's ever been. They might not march in an opening ceremony, won't have families there, and won't complain about any of it. Modern pentathlete Marina Carrier's parents are planning a street party for their daughter's first Olympics.
I'm just hoping that there's going to be a big viewing party and we could have a reciprocal camera arrangement where I can see you guys watching the TV.
And now, just 114 days to go. Matt Carmichael, 7 News.
Sally is here now with the weather. Sal, a wet start for some this morning.
Yeah, that's right, Mark. Showers brushed through the eastern suburbs overnight, clearing early this morning, but they completely bypassed the western suburbs. It was a cloudy start, though, at Bankstown. Once that cloud cover cleared, temperatures rose to 25 degrees there. In the city at the moment, it is a cooler 21. It feels more like 16, though, with those southeasterly winds. The city today reached 24.6. That was quite late in the day at 4 o'clock this afternoon, once all those clouds clouds disappeared. Across New South Wales, we saw a few brief showers. That was around the northern rivers, including for Byron Bay and also Coolangatta. Those onshore winds will continue to push a few showers into Sydney's coast tonight and tomorrow morning. Right now it is 23 degrees, or 21 rather, I should say, on the coast at Manly. I'll tell you if the showers will clear for the Easter weekend with the full forecast a little later, Mark.
We hope so, Sal. Thank you. A man's had his licence suspended for performing burnouts on Australia Day. Next, show of remorse, why he's admitting he needs to grow up. The grim reality of America's border crisis, the record number of children now in detention. Sickening attack, a woman kicked and stomped on, why police are calling it a hate crime. Britain's out of lockdown but out of control, wild scenes in a Nottingham park. And later, family fun, what to expect at this year's revamped Easter show.
7 News brought to you by Industry Super Funds.
The police can't help themselves. My super doesn't work out for me. I'll be working forever.
Well, we've worked all our lives for this place. We'd hate to have to sell it to fund our retirement.
That's for sure. Authorised by B. Dean for Industry Super Australia, Melbourne.
When I became the very first champion of Dancing with the Stars, my kids weren't even born. They are so excited that I'm doing it again. Who would have thought I'd be back here 17 years later with my kids cheering me on? I'm back. Let's see if I can win that mirror ball again.
Beck is back. Dancing with the Stars All-Stars. After Easter on 7.
Get your Woolies worth for Easter with fresh, large, cooked Australian tiger prawns. Just $27 a kilo. Save $3 a kilo.
That's why I pick Woolies.
On April 1st, health insurance premiums get bigger. But what if this time you didn't feed the rate rise creep and just compared a bunch of great health funds with iSelect? Compare, select and save with iSelect on 13/19/20.
Bring in your Easter project plan and we'll make it happen.
4 litre Taubman's Ultimate Enamel, only $85. All-purpose paintbrush, just $14.38.
Or you find a competitor's lower price on the same stocked item, we'll beat it by 10%.
Bunnings Warehouse.
Shop at Bunnings wherever you are, whenever you want.
Whether it's your "my ex is over there" pair or your
"did you check under there" pair?
we could all use a second pair. Get 2 designer pairs, no gap, from the $199 single vision range when you're with selected health funds. Only at Specsavers.
Get your Woolies worth with Everyday Rewards. This week, spend $20 on fresh meat in a single transaction and collect 5 times points on your total shop. Boost online now, then shop and scan your card. T's and C's apply.
That's why I pick Woolies.
Powerball. Play by your own rules.
Welcome back. A Hoon driver who tried to impress his mates by performing dangerous burnouts on Australia Day has now learnt his fate. Damien Scott lost his licence and walked away with a hefty fine. The 28-year-old also agreeing with the magistrate that it's time to grow up.
As a driver, Damien Scott possesses great technical skills, but until now, a terrible attitude, and he knows it. From Magistrate Feather, you really need to grow up.
He was right when he told me to grow up. You know what I mean? I'm 28.
Scott was celebrating Australia Day with a few burnouts to impress mates. The tyres shredded. and the rubber shrapnel knocked off the bumper bar. It happened in a residential neighbourhood in Glenorrey.
There is a place to do it, and there's places not to do it. So just do it in the right place, that's it.
You did it in the wrong place?
Definitely did not do it in the right place.
The magistrate sought to realign Scott's attitude from what could be perceived as larrikinism to what is in fact dangerous behaviour. He referenced the number of New South Wales COVID-19 fatalities in a year and noted our road toll is 6 times greater.
Some of those people killed have been killed in a similar reckless manner to how you behaved on this occasion. A poor driving record meant Scott was convicted, his licence suspended for 12 months with a $2,000 fine. It stings, but he is refreshingly honest with good references.
Your employer says you're a good bloke.
Oh, I am a good bloke, yeah. I just, I made a mistake.
How are you getting home?
Don't try.
Robert Ovadia, 7 News.
America's border crisis is showing no signs of improvement, with heartbreaking new scenes emerging from inside overcrowded detention centres. For the first time, Joe Biden allowed cameras inside one where a record number of migrant children are being held.
Packed in plastic tents, children shoulder to shoulder, playing and sleeping under foil blankets. This is the reality inside Biden's border facilities.
I'm a father. I don't want to see that. As a Border Patrol agent, I didn't sign up for this.
1 in 7 at this centre, COVID-19 positive, allowed one phone call every 48 hours as a desperately overloaded system struggles to process their asylum requests.
We're way over capacity. We're like 700% over capacity.
If they look intrigued by the cameras, it's because this is the first time they've been allowed in. A surge in arrivals after Joe Biden reversed a key Trump immigration policy.
We'll place them in a raft and say, okay, go. And only God knows what happens to them while they're coming in on that journey. They know that we're releasing them. They know that right now there's nothing stopping them. We're not going to deport them back to their countries.
Relying on US authorities to reunite families on the other side.
The other little girl that I was talking to, I said, do you have a phone number of where you're going so that we can establish contact? She said, I lost it in the river before I crossed.
Cartel-backed people smugglers, emboldened and exploiting the most vulnerable.
For whatever reason, they have fallen through the system or through the cracks.
Ashley Mullaney, 7 News.
Security cameras have captured a disturbing hate crime attack in New York. A man could be seen kicking a 65-year-old Asian woman to the ground, then repeatedly stomping on her head. Police say he was yelling racist remarks. When witnesses tried to chase him down, he pulled out a knife. President Biden has responded to the attack, ramping up efforts to address anti-Asian crimes, calling such violence wrong and un-American. The victim is in hospital after suffering head and pelvic injuries. Police are still hunting her attacker. Chaotic scenes in Britain, with large crowds flouting social distancing rules on the day restrictions eased. Hundreds of young revellers took celebrations too far, drinking and brawling in a Nottingham park.
You feel good, you see people around, you see friends that you know, and you're like, my guy, how you been?
But in France, hospitals are so overwhelmed by mutant strains of COVID, they're now being forced to choose who to treat. The flooding rains may have stopped, but the clean-up could pollute our waterways. Next, the long weekend warning as the damage bill for Sydney's roads is revealed. A woman on trial accused of killing her husband to inherit his millions. Enjoying Sydney after dark, from top chefs to live music, the new plans for nightlife in the CBD.
And soon in sport, why NRL coaches are concerned over the new concussion substitute rule.
Hello, Sarah Jane. 65 years of age, and you have the best outfit here.
Thank you, big brother. If you're just going in there intending to win the game, you're not going to win the game. You need to have humanity.
I'm your friend.
I might be the oldest, but I have an opportunity to prove to people that you can all put yourself outside of a comfort zone and fly.
Oh man, this is such a long way away.
Welcome to my new house, SJ.
Bring it on.
I feel like going back home right now.
This Easter, let's celebrate all the little things that make time together great. The backyard barbecues, kitchen creations, and everything in between. Coles. Value the Australian way.
Ned's Same Game Multi is available on every NRL game this week. Plus, on Thursday and Friday games, you can pump up your NRL Same Game Multi with Ned's $2 lines. Take it to the Ned's level.
Don't get stuck in pain. Voltaren Emyl Gel relieves muscle pain 2 times faster and reduces inflammation to help get you moving sooner. Voltaren Emyl Gel, available with no mess applicator.
Once a year, the stars align. On and off the track at the Star Championships. The grand finals of Australian racing, where history is made and champions are celebrated. Featuring the $3 million Star Doncaster Mile. The Championships, Saturday, April 10th and 17th at Royal Randwick.
Roger, roll over. Do it for a schmackos. Rogie boy.
Don't sit around. Head into Freedom and get up to 25% off leather and fabric sofas and occasional chairs. Up to 25% off furniture and 50 months interest-free store-wide. Ends Monday. Only at Freedom.
Ned's Same Race Multi is available every day on all 3 racing codes. Pump up your odds by selecting 2 to 4 runners to finish inside the top 4. Use Ned's Same Race Multi on the Tancred Stakes this Saturday. Take it to the Ned's level.
Welcome back. The partner of a wealthy farmer has gone on trial for murder, accused of taking his life to inherit his multi-million-dollar property. Matthew Dunbar changed his will just months after the couple started dating. But prosecutors say she staged his death to look like suicide.
To those who knew him, Matthew Dunbar was lonely and struggled to maintain relationships, but he did with Natasha Darcy until his death in 2017. This was not a suicide. This was a plan implemented by her to sedate him and kill him, the prosecutor said. She was the sole beneficiary of his estate, including his Walker property, worth $3.5 million. In the months before Matthew's death, the mother of 3 allegedly conducted dozens of searches online, including committing murder, spider venom, toxic plants, air injected into vein, cyanide pill, 99 detectable poisons, and can police search past search history. To help him commit suicide, she claims, because he was depressed. Before he died, a text was sent from his phone to Darcy's estranged husband, paramedic Colin Crossman. Tell police to come to house. I don't want Tash or anyone to find me. A text sent by Natasha Darcy, the prosecution says. Matthew was found in bed with a plastic bag over his head, a tube connecting it to a helium tank. In the house, an empty glass with remnants of sedatives. Who really knew how deep his depression was, her lawyer said. When Natasha Darcy entered her plea in front of the jury, she said not guilty to murder, but guilty to aiding and abetting suicide, which was rejected by the prosecution. The difference, 10 years or potentially life in jail. Leonie Ryan, 7 News.
There were nervous moments at Bankstown Airport during a light plane emergency. The pilot noticed issues with the landing gear, forcing him to make a delicate touchdown. Firefighters were called to monitor the aircraft. The 2 people on board were not injured. Easter holiday makers are being warned to stay off the Hawkesbury River, now a major navigation and possibly health hazard. 7 News joined a tour with senior government figures who say devastated locals also need a little respect.
The banks of the Hawkesbury, unstable, dangerous, once a safe haven for so many. Before today, we'd only seen this carnage from the air.
Sitting on the river looking at it from here, it gives it a different perspective. It's people's homes, it's their memories.
The minister in disbelief and pleading for everyone else to stay away.
You know, we've got Easter this weekend. Don't use the Hawkesbury. Like, you can't be out on the river and, you know, be here for recreational purposes.
Tons of sand has shifted. The water's septic. Not all debris is floating.
Things in that water which will kill you if you hit them.
The only vessels welcome here are ferries. A few are back online, a small start in reconnecting communities. Those reliant on roads now shredded, no guarantees, but a long wait to be rebuilt. As far as repairs go, all they have are estimates. How much will all this cost to fix? At least $80 million, but probably more. How long will it take to fix all these roads? That's anybody's guess. Some surety, at least in Wiseman's Ferry, a community that feared being forgotten.
Oh, well, that's good, yeah.
A promise they won't be.
I tell you what, I was very surprised. Yeah, it was very good.
In a town where hope is needed as much as help. Tom Hartley, 7 News.
Sydney could become a 24-hour city rivalling the likes of New York and Copenhagen. It's all part of a new roadmap to kickstart our economy as we emerge from the pandemic, including free public transport, live music and night markets to lure people back into the CBD.
Phil Anastasio and the team at Soho Espresso run one of Sydney's central business district venues that are embracing the recent push for more alfresco dining in the heart of the city.
It's got that outdoor European feel that people like sitting in this on a summer's day.
But some pandemic-induced trends are making it harder for our city to thrive. 70% of CBD workers want to keep working flexibly, ideally spending just 3 days a week in the office. We're taking 22% more car trips, but nearly 40% fewer on public transport.
People are very reluctant to come into work, particularly on Monday and Fridays. So one idea would be to actually make public transport free on Fridays.
Other ideas to support a bustling 24-hour economy are cooking displays from big-name chefs, more live street music and farmers markets.
We also need people to visit cultural institutions and really create a vibrancy at a nighttime economy.
A recent survey found what people want most in city centres are more green spaces, pocket-sized parks, laneways filled with pot plants and roof gardens with trees and flowers.
Millions of dollars have already been invested into enlivening the CBD. And that, says Phil, is money well spent.
If there's more spaces, outdoor spaces, which council can offer to small businesses, it helps a lot and brings the city alive, really.
Gemma Acton, 7 News.
Virgin has rolled out its sleek new offering to blast tourists into space. Next, the out-of-this-world design and how much a ticket will set you back. Soon, the Easter show, back and better than ever, what you can expect this year. Named and shamed the dishwashing liquids that are no better than water.
Soon in sport, Aussie cricket's biggest stars on fire for the Blues at North Sydney Oval.
And some suburbs will see some wet weather tomorrow. I'll tell you if it'll clear in time for the Easter break soon.
Australia, are you up for the challenge?
Everyday Aussies, now it's your turn. Think you've got what it takes? Here's your chance to prove it. Apply now to join SAS Australia at sasaustraliacasting.com.au.
You can do a lot in a couple of seconds. Even with just one hand. I just got Lulu ready for Best in Show. And I just backed the one dog in the next at Dapto. Beautiful. Go win that trophy for Daddy. Now who looks pretty? Right, me.
It's shacking easy to bet anytime, anywhere with the PointsBet app.
Well, seems everyone's making the healthier switch to veggie rice.
They'll be switching us next.
Wait, what?
Oh. Pea!
Well, hello there.
Oh, actually, this switch is good too.
Bird's eye.
There's nothing more natural than change. Change helped you grow, to discover. Sure, it isn't always easy, but change has the power to excite, to refresh, to move us. It could be your first front door, or baby's first room. And the best thing about change, if you don't like it, you can always change it. Change starts here.
Let me be witty, let me be so ditty in every state and city. How about let you do a double take? I need your invade your crib. I'm a superwoman. I let you watch me fade.
Getting a great deal on your energy is a big deal. Join us on Total Plan and get a $50 electricity sign-up credit and a $50 gas sign-up credit, plus a guaranteed total energy bill discount on every bill, every time. Join today.
Introducing free chef-quality cookware from Coles. For every $20 you spend in one transaction, scan your Flybuys card to earn one cookware credit.
That's the way to cook, like a pro. Coles. Value the Australian way.
If I were you, I'd get a long loan. 40 years, maybe 50. Am I right? What do you think?
I think we can do better.
An Aussie broker can help you get the right home loan for right now. Go straight to Aussie. Broken down, eh, Keith? Oh dear. Some insurers don't offer free roadside assist for a year, but Amy does, with a new Amy Comprehensive Car Insurance policy. Does your insurer offer this? Amy does.
Welcome back. Gemma Acton is here now with a check on the markets.
Thanks, Mark. After a lacklustre start to the week, Aussie shares finally caught a break today, closing out the final trading day of the quarter higher at 6,790 points. Shopping centre operator Unibail-Rodamco Westfield was the biggest mover. That's after it signed a deal to give its retailers access to customers of Europe's largest online fashion platform, Zalando. The Aussie dollar has fallen back below 76 US cents, while gold is slipping yet further away from 1,700 US dollars. Mark.
Gemma, thank you. Consumer group Choice has tested dishwashing liquids and found some perform so badly they're no better than water. 4 of them from Fairy, Palmolive, Uniquely Natural and Woolworths scored just 45%.
There's a huge gap between the two leaders in our test and the majority of products which scored significantly worse.
The best performers were Tandil Ultra, sold at Aldi, and Morning Fresh Ultimate. The Rural Fire Service's Boeing 737 air tanker needs a little service itself after running into a hangar door at the Richmond Air Base yesterday. The collision caused minor damage to the nose and port side engine, but major damage to the door. The $26 million plane is maintained by an American contractor. It looks like something straight out of a sci-fi movie and could be the final frontier in commercial space travel. Virgin Galactic is set to begin testing on the VSS Imagine as another contender in the space race suffered a mid-air explosion.
The sleek future of space exploration, the VSS Imagine, Virgin Galactic's latest attempt to blast into space tourism.
It will take you to space. It'll actually tip upside down and let you look while you're weightless through these big windows in the ceiling.
An out-of-this-world view Virgin will charge $330,000 for. It soon hopes to open up seats on board Imagine for tourists and researchers, but first, more tests.
The spaceship is going to start ground testing first, and then it will start with its test flight program in the summer.
The craft is the third in Virgin's spaceship class. It builds on the fatal VSS Enterprise disaster in 2014 and 2 successful Unity voyages, which will again take off this year. Richard Branson himself will be on one of those flights, set to rocket 80 kilometres above the Earth's surface. But the race to open outer space to the world hit another fiery hurdle today for Elon Musk's SpaceX. Chalking up another failed landing for his Starship prototype, the billionaire's 4th botched landing, but still managing to find the positives, tweeting, "At least the crater is in the right place." In the United States, David Woywood, 7 News.
Mel is here with Sport Now. Mel, Adam Reynolds is a man in demand.
He sure is, Fergo. An interstate club is poised to launch a multi-million-dollar play for the South's captain. Details up next. Plus, another Queensland team forced to flee to Sydney as COVID wreaks havoc with the schedule. And the world's best surfers gather in Newcastle for the relaunch of the world title race.
This is everything we've been waiting for. Here they come! The AFL is here on 7. And it just gets better. Every blockbuster clash, every Swans game, every Giants game, and it's all right here on 7, live and free and in HD.
This has been an absolute special.
7, your home home of AFL.
Locked out, Keith? What if that new vacuum goes rogue? Unlike some insurers, Amy offers optional emergency home assist from tradies like locksmiths. Does your insurer offer this? Amy does.
For me, the best way to get the best seafood this Easter is from Coles, Australia's best sustainable seafood supermarket.
Coles Tasmanian salmon portions, skin on, just $24 a kilo.
Coles, value the Australian way.
We make buying, renting and selling easy for 12 million Australians. Personalise your search with the #1 address in property, realestate.com.au.
Get moving, Australia. New Cocoa Pops Golden Gaytime flavours here, with a delightfully delicious toffee chocolatey taste. Try new Cocoa Pops Golden Gaytime flavour, just like a chocolate milkshake, only crunchy.
At Bunnings, we'll know that a kitchen is more than just a place to cook. It can be a classroom, you can have your kids at your bench, an art gallery for your kids' artwork, so your kitchen needs to be designed to fit your life, because Bunnings kitchens are made for real life. Shop at Bunnings wherever you are, whenever you want.
Subaru Outback.
Know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table.
Punter Assist from Ladbrokes gives you all the tools you need to stay in control. Because if it's no longer entertaining, you've got to know when to walk away.
Take it away, Jose. Count your money when you're sitting at the table.
Welcome back. Ivan Cleary says it's like flood insurance, and he's not the only NRL coach with serious misgivings about the new 18th man substitute rule. Before the rule is implemented next week, the Panthers plan to pile more misery on the struggling Sea Eagles.
Day one of the new stricter COVID protocols. The temperature rises for Des Hasler every time the winless Sea Eagles drop the ball.
They have to be quick fixes. Definitely we'll find our way out. We have to. Yeah. That's just a given.
But if you're a frustrated fan, don't bother venting on social media.
No, I don't even understand hashtag. My children are ashamed of me.
Hasler is one of several coaches concerned by the decision to rush in the new 18th man rule. His opponent tomorrow night offered a topical comparison.
It's like flood insurance, isn't it? Like 1 in 100-year floods.
Teams can only activate the sub if 3 players fail concussion tests in a game. That's only happened twice in more than 1,400 matches played under concussion protocols.
I just don't see it happening very often at all.
Nathan Cleary passed his concussion test on Monday.
It's mental torture that goes for hours. Some bloody hard questions as well.
And the Titans are heading to Sydney to flee Queensland's COVID cluster. Their game against the Raiders on Saturday night will now be played at Cogra as part of a double header with the Sharks-Cowboys clash that was to be played on the Sunshine Coast. The Broncos-Storm game will go ahead as planned in Melbourne on Friday night. Michelle Bishop, 7 News.
The Cowboys are poised to make a multi-million-dollar play for South stalwart Adam Reynolds. The Rabbitohs are expected to make light work of Trent Barrett's struggling Bulldogs at Stadium Australia on Good Friday.
They're disappointed, obviously, and they're only young, and a lot of them are still dealing with or trying to learn how to deal with this situation.
Lachlan Lewis comes in to partner Kyle Flanagan in the halves. Pat Cummins has given New South Wales a parting gift before he heads off to the IPL. Our test bowling attack put on a show at North Sydney Oval this afternoon in the One Day Cup. Cummins, Mitchell Starc, Josh Hazlewood and Nathan Lyon were all amongst the wickets against Queensland.
And again, beautiful catch. Gee, that's good. He is so good.
Cummins finished with 3 for 34 as the Bulls were dismissed for 203. David Warner fell early in the chase, the opener making just 4. Tim Zhu can take another big step towards a boxing world title tonight. Michelle Bishop is in Newcastle. Hello to you, Shell. Dennis Hogan is Zhu's last hurdle before hopefully hitting the big time overseas.
Good evening, Mel. It's very loud here, so you'll have to bear with me. But this is the biggest bout that Newcastle has ever seen. It is officially sold out. And the star of the show is, of course, Tim Zhu, the son of former world boxing champ Costa Zhu. He's taking on Dennis Hogan, who has only ever lost 3 bouts, and those 3 bouts have all been world title fights. Now, Tim's been talking it up all week. He doesn't want it to go to the distance. He wants it lights out as soon as possible tonight, because the winner of tonight's bout will progress through and get a shot at the world title. Plenty of talk about it going overseas, but not Tim Zhu. He wants it here in Australia at Bankwest Stadium. Mel.
Sounds good to us. Thank you, Shell. Enjoy the show. Michelle Bishop in Newcastle. Ash Barty is 1 win away from retaining her world #1 ranking after advancing to the semi-finals of the Miami Open. The defending champion needed more than 2 hours and some of her very best tennis to see off Arina Sabalenka in 3 sets. Barty will play Elena Svitolina for a spot in the final. And surfing's world title race resumes in Newcastle tomorrow at Merriweather Beach. World title winners John Florence, Carissa Moore and Tyler Wright among the stars in action. Wright won the first round in Hawaii in December before the pandemic halted the tour.
There's going to be a lot of surfers who are probably burnt out. There's going to be a lot of athletes. But to be honest, I think that's all of society.
The Newcastle Cup is streaming on 7+. Exciting times for surfing, Fergo, and also the Olympic uniform launch with the Sydney Opera House in the backdrop. Iconic stuff and really exciting. It's finally almost here.
Yeah, look great and seems very real now, doesn't it?
It is. It's getting very real.
Thanks, Mel. It's been 2 years now, but the Sydney Royal Easter Show is finally back. Starting tomorrow, it aims to be COVID safe, but organisers promise all the rides, animals, amusements, food and good old-fashioned fun will be there.
Flying again, the Royal Easter Show. All the fun of the fair in place and ready for tomorrow's big opening. A global event.
We're on track to be the largest ticketed event in the world since the COVID pandemic.
They're getting excited in the Farmyard Nursery, making their Easter Show debut.
Stage fright.
A little bit of stage fright, yeah, but it's a little bit of, oh, hello, what's going on here?
This year's stars, miniature Highland calves and pups, weeks old. Mum is a working Kelpie.
If we let her off the chain, she'd be out rounding everything up.
The COVID precautions extend to the popular feeding of the baby animals. Every time the cup is used, it's cleaned.
Drought, bushfires and lately floods have halved cattle numbers.
Got some good seasons now and everyone's got their heads up high and sticking in.
And ready to compete. May the best steer win.
6 months of early mornings, hard work.
Feeling confident?
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
There's a daily cap on show crowds, 60,000. Tickets online.
On a Good Friday, we can get nearly 130,000 through the gate. So our capacities for Good Friday will be at approximately 48%.
But organisers promise plenty to see.
We got Nugget. He's a young one. He's just a bit impatient.
To get on with the show. Chris Marr, 7 News.
Yeah, bring it on. Sally's back now. Sal, some wet weather on the way tonight.
Yeah, Mark, the eastern suburbs will see a few showers this evening and possibly tomorrow too. I'll tell you what it means for the Easter break with a full forecast next.
I'm assuming this is your spew?
Their excuses are as bad as their driving.
That's gross.
Highway Patrol. Drivers behaving badly. Tonight on 7.
If your floor tiles are looking a little dated, this weekend is a great chance to bring them back to life. So let's make it happen. Come into Bunnings and talk to us for some expert advice. For this job, we'll be using paint, primer, roller and brushes, masking tape, some sandpaper, cleaning products and safety gear. First step, clean the tiles down and use a toothbrush to clean out any grout. Then, lightly sand to roughen up the surface, clean up and mask up. Now it's time to prime. Once the prime is dry, then it's time for the top coat. It's always best to do 2 coats for the best finish. We've gone grey, but the choice is yours. So there you have it. We'll help you make it happen this weekend. Shop at Bunnings, wherever you are, whenever you want.
At Aware Super, we are inspired by our members to breathe life into our communities. We believe you can do well for yourself at the same time as doing good for all. As one of Australia's best performing super funds, we deliver strong long-term returns for our members at the same time as investing in affordable housing, renewable energy and critical infrastructure. Become aware today.
Sultana brand. High in fibre so families can get up and go and take on every full-on day. Sultana brand. Full-on days start with full-on fibre. Now available in gluten-free.
What's going on?
eBay Tuesdays. Heaps of deals every Tuesday.
How are those reports going?
On things like noise-cancelling headphones.
Is that ham?
We should get sushi, Carol.
What was that, Greg?
They're yelling.
I am here to show you all how to Ladbroke it.
Let's Ladbroke the action.
Let's Ladbroke the writers. Let's Ladbroke
Look around. As the favourites come out, it begins. Observing with an eagle eye. Mastering the art of stashing. Oh, brilliant move, Grant. Cadbury favourites. Everyone gets their favourites.
Mum, he always wins.
On the top bunk last night.
Go. Come on, run. Taj one. Yeah. Top bunk.
Go, boys.
Here you go. Sweet dreams.
Great news, you're all approved. Other kids are going to love it.
Ready? Go!
Looking to renovate? Make your house more home with a Suncorp Bank home loan. That's the Suncorp spirit.
Congratulations, you are now officially homeowners.
We think Susie's a con artist. She threatened me.
Be careful.
I am so onto you.
Like a caged animal,
You're not getting away with this.
she'll strike back. Home and Away, next up on 7.
Tonight's 7 News headlines. Queensland's COVID cluster has spread to New South Wales, marking our first community case in 14 days. It's triggered restrictions at holiday spots and forced the cancellation of the popular Blues Fest. A vicious war of words has exploded over the vaccine rollout, our state leaders furiously blaming our federal counterparts. And a spectacular flight past to mark 100 years of the RAAF. Now here's Sally with the latest on Sydney's weather.
Thank you, Mark. Well, it was a showery start along the coast this morning. It might finish that way too this evening with a few more showers possible tonight in the eastern suburbs. Today, though, we reached a top of 25 degrees, or almost 25, just a fraction before 4 o'clock this afternoon. Around Sydney suburbs, those showers brushed along the coast. That was last night. It continued into this morning, though. We picked up around 7 millimetres on the beaches, 10 millimetres at Gosford and a couple of millimetres at Terry Hills. Now, the Weather Bureau has officially declared La Nina over. That doesn't mean the rain is done with us just yet, but it's no longer dominating our weather patterns across Australia. Today, onshore winds just delivered a few more showers for the northern parts of New South Wales. Tomorrow, those brisk winds will continue to push this wet weather into the north coast. It will start to pick up around the mid-north coast too. The high will keep the rest of New South Wales dry, though. Around the capital cities for tomorrow, showers are expected in Brisbane and Perth. It'll be cloudy into Hobart tomorrow, 27 degrees there. Also, a sunny day expected in Adelaide, 31 degrees. Across New South Wales tomorrow, as I said before, we've got those showers just starting to increase intensity for the mid-north coast. At Coffs Harbour, around 8 millimetres is expected tomorrow in the gauges there. The wet weather will start to ease through the Hunter, though. Newcastle heading for a top of 24 degrees, and through the south it will be a mostly sunny affair. Now, some suburbs will see showers tomorrow morning. That includes Mona Vale, Mascot, Terry Hills and Bondi, while it will be mostly sunny through Sydney's west. So we've got two different scenarios going on. Tops of 25 degrees expected at Blacktown and Liverpool. On the water tomorrow, if you are heading out, it's 24 degrees in at the moment, but there is still a possible pollution warning across all of Sydney's beaches following those floods, so do take care. Now, in the city, we might see a shower along the coast this evening, dropping to 16 degrees, tops of 24 tomorrow, with onshore winds once again triggering the odd shower or two, particularly for the eastern suburbs. Looking ahead, Good Friday should be fine, 26 degrees, 27 in the west, even warmer into the weekend, tops of 29 on Saturday, 30 in the western suburbs on Sunday, and then it looks like a few showers for Easter Monday, Mark, but all in all, a good one.
Yeah, blue skies for Easter, Sal. Thank you. That is 7 News for this Wednesday. We'll have updates for you throughout the evening, and the latest is on from 11:15. I'm Mark Ferguson from all the team. I hope you have a great night.